What is going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 86 of the Yamcast. We've got a bunch of great news for you guys today, but really quick, if it's your first time watching the Yamcast, do me a solid. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, because if you watch the Yamcast, you must be a die-hard fan. Because I know that because of our analytics. Not many people watch these videos, and if you're watching one of them, then clearly you must really enjoy what we do here. Sign up on yamnoob.co, join the Discord. It's a lot of fun. Promise you won't regret it. Today we're talking about news from Harley-Davidson. Of course, it would not be a Yamcast if we did not talk news about Harley-Davidson. Got some right to repair and FTC news from them. We've also got news that some motorcycles are going to be sunsetted, Spite.
So sad. So sad.
That is really sad that we're going to be sunsetting some bikes. Over there I see there's going to be no more Goldwings. If that is true, then every dad in his late 50s is going to be so sad to hear this news. We now also have news from Royal Enfield, a brand new cruiser from them called the Shotgun 650. I wonder what platform and engine that's going to use.
I have no idea.
Gee, I wonder. For the DM portion of today's podcast, we're going to be talking about whether you should upgrade or downgrade your motorcycle. A bit of a this and that. We're actually asking the Discord boys what they would do if they would upgrade their motorcycle or downgrade their bike. Spite and I are going to be going to the mat, seeing who's going to be right on this. It's not a competition. We're going to agree to disagree, and we're just taking sides and having fun. But we're also going to be talking about the most ridiculous YouTube comments we've received, doing another contest linking the silly comments that we received here on YouTube. We had the boys dig for some gold, didn't we?
Yeah, I basically just was like, go find the nastiest, most wild, ridiculous comments possible.
Yeah.
And literally, we only have one score. It's ridiculousness. And you got to just... To win the T-shirt this week, you gotta go to the wall.
Yep, you gotta find something absolutely silly. So without further ado, let's jump into the Yamcast. Alrighty, Spite. First up on the news today is Harley-Davidson silliness, right? Some goofiness that they're doing.
Yes, so we got news from Harley-Davidson via the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission here, for those of you who don't know. But this is basically... It's a huge, weird thing about warranty language. Mm-hmm. So the warranty language here, the main paragraph is this right here. So a big part of this complaint is warranty language from both companies that say the warranty is void if customers choose to use independent dealers to either perform repairs or supply parts. What do you do with your Harley-Davidson? Harley-Davidson.
Yeah. No, it's interesting they chose to use the language independent dealer. So does that mean that an independent mechanic who does not deal motorcycles, is that okay?
Yeah, right? That's a little odd.
Because like our guy next door, he fixes on Harleys all the time,
yep.
Right? Now, he's not working on brand new Harleys, right? He's always working on some old dogged out Sportster whose warranty has long since seen its day in the sun.
Yep.
But this is... I hate stuff like this, man. I hate it.
Yeah, it drives me up a wall, and it's really a shame that we're seeing it more and more in the motorcycling world, because especially on a motorcycle, I'm going to do as much of the maintenance as humanly possible.
Totally.
You know, I did the first service on the KLR. I plan to do all the services on the KLR because it's super easy, and I don't want to pay some mechanic to do it when I can do it myself.
Yep.
And I don't want it to void my warranty.
Yeah.
Because, you know, yeah, it's a KLR. It's probably bulletproof, but who knows? Maybe something goes wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a big, big, big bummer because the biggest draw of a Harley-Davidson is modifying it.
Yeah.
And this goes to say that it was for any mod that you do. Like you go and get yourself a pipe. Yep, there's your warranty void.
Yeah.
It's not even like normally the usual, like your warranty's void if you crack the ECU.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That's fair. You've massively modified the motorcycle in a way it wasn't intended to be used.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally.
Like, I was honestly shocked whenever we had that issue with our Fireblade, and they covered the problem because the ECU was flashed on it. And I told the guy, I was totally open. I was like, hey, we flashed the ECU. And he's like, no, it still shouldn't blow up like that. So we got your back. But, yeah, I think ECU is fair, but, you know, there's other stuff like on electronics where, like, you peel a sticker and it's like, oh, no more warranty.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man, it's a sticker, you know?
And the courts have been fighting that like, the FTC's been going back hard on that sort of thing. So what's going on here is it's two companies. It's Harley-Davidson and MWE Investments, which is outdoor generators, I guess. Which weird.
Okay.
I'm not sure why you're going to be getting, an exhaust mod for your...
My warranty on my generator, said no one ever. It's a generator.
Except for maybe like a doomsday prepper.
Yeah.
So they're basically, the FTC was like, nah, you need to rewrite all that language.
Yeah.
This is illegal. Stop it.
Yeah.
Which, good on you. I'm sad that Harley had to get corrected on this.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if this was for the Pan America.
I could see that.
Like the Pan America, the new Sportsters.
Yeah.
I could see that on those
Start making
engines.
some more complicated bikes, and they're like, hey, don't mess with it, otherwise the warranty's going to be void.
Yeah. And
I can see that.
We have been seeing reports. I personally have not encountered major issues on a Pan America. I have had some weirdness where it throws itself in limp mode if you turn it off and on too many times. And you have to like press and hold the starter sometimes, but people have been having all kinds of issues reported. Again, I've spent a lot of time on 3 different Pan Americas, never encountered them.
Yeah.
But you definitely do want a warranty on that bike. So they're rewriting all the language, and they're ordering Harley-Davidson to come clean to consumers. In other words, the company can't just quietly change the language and not tell anybody about it.
Yeah.
They're saying
they have to proactively reach out to the customers and notify them of the changes and their right to repair their own possessions under the law. So that's the big thing about this is the right to repair, right? And that's where a lot of companies are scooching that line further and further back of what you can repair or do. Which now apparently Harley-Davidson thinks that if you modify, do anything to the bike, you basically have relinquished your right to repair it, right?
Yeah.
Which is really stupid. But it's tough because as things become more technologically evolved and advanced, like take my truck, for example, right? 20 years ago, you bought a Ram 1500. Sure, you could do an oil change or do this or do that. Nowadays, everything's controlled by a computer. It's basically a smartphone with an engine attached to it, right? Yep. There's a lot of tech in that thing that I'm just like, you need a diagnostics tool. You need all this other shit. And so it's tough when you have something like that is already so difficult to repair. It basically creates itself in a way that is you don't have the right to repair it anymore because they've made it so hard for you to repair it, right?
Yep.
Like, would you do work on a Pan America? Like, serious work? I don't know if I would.
Probably not. I would do the oil changes for sure. But then there's really not a lot you could do beyond that. You don't need to do the valves on it.
Yeah.
So unless the engine breaks down and it just doesn't work, and at that point you're running electrical gremlins, and that's where you really need the OBD2 reader.
Yeah. Which you can get. I have one.
Yeah.
But it's going to give you a code, and you're like, okay, now what?
Time to Google it.
Yeah. You Google it, and you're like, okay, the airflow sensor is up or whatever, and you're like, oh, I don't have another one of those. It starts getting kind of silly.
Yeah, so it's really easy to lose yourself down the rabbit hole. But it is important that you have, it's almost like right to repair is the wrong word. It's right to break.
Yeah.
You really, that's what it is. You have the right to break your
yeah
because you wanted to work on it.
Yeah.
Right? You have the right to do stuff, and then you do stuff and the warranty covers it.
But on the flip side, you also don't have the right to break something and then claim the warranty on it, right?
Yeah.
That's where it gets there's 2 sides to it, right? Like there's the consumer side and there's a company side. Right now, we're too skewed towards the company side with a lot of this stuff. But yeah, I don't think someone should like hack open their laptop and like run a screwdriver through it and be like, oh, my laptop broke and I use a warranty. It's like, well, no, you it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the one thing is with my KLR, going back to that, I did the thermobob on it, where I removed the stock radiator thermometer, and I put in a new thermostat, and I put in this extra valving, and I modified the hose so that I could have the radiator bypass. That is, after decades worth of work on the KLR platform, is proven to improve the longevity of that motorcycle.
Yeah.
If I were to
Kawasaki don't see it that way, though, I bet you.
If I were to have some other problem irrelevant to the radiator system, they would look at that and be like, you modified this motorcycle. That's not, we can't cover this warranty anymore.
Totally. Yeah.
And I would be like, but the mod that I did here, it has nothing to do with the thing that broke.
Yeah, but Yeah, they're not going to see it that way.
See, that's the thing is I have the right, in my opinion, to do what I did to the motorcycle. Yeah. I know for a fact that I installed that thing correctly. I did everything basically pitch perfect.
Yeah.
I did it really slow because it was my bike. And I would be miffed if I hear some guy being like, no, we can't cover this blinker problem because you modified the thermostat.
Yeah.
Those systems are completely separate.
But they're not going to see it that way. That's the problem, But the thing I'm seeing here from the article is, modifying companies like Vance and Hines are saying that it's a big win for motorcycle riders, especially because they're in the business of selling aftermarket pipes, right? They don't want a bunch of their core customers getting spooked about modifying their own motorcycles, especially with something as simple as a slip-on exhaust.
And it's funny that Harley was so ready to tell Vance and Hines to go stuff themselves.
I know.
Because Vance and Hines is they're a huge partner with Harley
Davidson. Massive. Yeah.
Vance and Hines, I would argue, probably wouldn't exist without Harley Davidson. At least not to the extent that they do.
Yeah.
They're like the name in performance parts.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all because they've been building for Harleys forever.
Yep.
So it's just nice to see that the FTC is actually doing a good for us.
Yeah.
They're helping us out.
Yeah. Not every government body does bad things. Some of them are actually trying to help you and protect you, especially these that have to do with commercial trade and those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Free trade's great, guys, but monopolies and bullshit this suck, and it hurts the consumers. So
that it do.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next bit of news, which is apparently a bunch of motorcycles getting sunsetted. Man, what's going on with this?
Okay.
What's happening?
Here we go. News out of Japan. So this is all the big four. They're retiring 20 models across Yamaha, Honda, Suzuki, and Kawasaki. They're sunsetting 20 bikes, which is 10% of the 190 models that are currently being made by these manufacturers.
Wow.
The biggest names on this list that got hit, the Super 4, the CB400. Huge bummer. That's such a cool motorcycle. I would love to see that stateside, but now it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
The Goldwing. We're seeing bikes in the Goldwing line are getting axed.
So I'm seeing here, Yamaha is going to stop selling the flagship FJR, and Suzuki will pull at least 5 out of the roughly 20 models from production lines by October, including the mid-sized GSX 250R.
Mid-sized?
In what world is a Gixxer 250 mid-sized?
It is worth pointing out that this article is from Nikkei Asia.
Yeah.
So that's their like stock index, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, in Asian markets, maybe it is mid-size.
And we do want to clarify that it's not all the Goldwings. It appears to be just some models of Goldwing, so don't worry, guys. It's not every Goldwing. But another piece of news here, and we kind of knew this, but it says, going forward, the companies will shift to electrics. Honda will electrify its entire lineup of vehicles by the 2040s. Yamaha will make 90% of new vehicles plug-ins by 2050. So clock is ticking for this here Yami New business to make its money and get the hell out of Dodge, because it looks like we've got about an 18-year runway for these internal combustion engine motorcycles.
Meanwhile, Harley Davidson's going to be cranking out Sportsters to the end of time.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, I don't know how to predict 18 years into the future, but maybe by then we're making videos about like little Chinese electric bikes or something. And I have no idea, but
they're still going to be making lists.
Spite, if we are still making lists 18 years from now, you know what? Mark this moment. It's 2022, June, middle of June. To future Yam, 18 years from now when you're 49 years old or something like that, 48, if you're still making lists, something's gone wrong. Some path went awry. You took a wrong door when you shouldn't have taken it. You ate some food somewhere you shouldn't have. Something went wrong, and you need to really think about your life. How would you feel about doing the lists? Well, you don't do them anymore, which is good. Yeah, I don't. Yeah. I only perform them still, but you just review them now, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but we have been trying to move away a little bit here and there. We're never going to be fully divorced from them.
No, they will always be there. They'll always be there. We might be making list videos to people who aren't even born yet. They'll be like, that's my dad's list videos. I want the new list videos.
They're going to...
Yaminu makes top 10s. We want top 20s.
Dude, could you imagine? Like, our lists are already so coked out. Could
Oh
you
my
imagine,
God.
like, what Mega Coke list first 10 seconds would look like?
Yeah, what would that be? Generation Beta or whatever? Is it Generation Alpha? Also, can we say they need like a branding change? You can't call a whole generation Beta.
No,
That's going to them up for life. You can't do that.
They're the beta generation.
Also, Generation Alpha, that's going to up for different reasons. Like, don't do that. But anyways, getting off on a tangent here. What other bikes are on the chopping block, or what else is happening here?
So that's kind of the long and the short of it. The reason why all this is happening is because of massive tightening of emissions regulations. And so they're saying that to avoid the chopping block, they either need to beef up their catalytic converters, which building new ones, they're heavy. They're
A lot of R&D.
There's a lot of expense going into it.
Yeah.
Or they need to be electric. And that's the only solution. So these bikes are going to be gone by the end of this year.
Wow. I could see the FJR's been a little stale for a while. I could see that. Suzuki's just grinding the axe at this point. They're ready to pull a bunch of bikes out. Like, what is the Gixxer 750 and the Gixxer 750? It's been like 10 years. They've been the exact same since 2012 or 2011.
I wonder if the DRZ is on this list. We don't have the specifics.
Somehow the DRZ just keeps just like skirting its way. Like they're just like throwing spears at it, trying to clean it. It's just like, look out, man. Look out. Don't worry. I got Somehow it's still getting sold. Honda will probably cut out some Goldwings, but it will still have an XR650 on the showroom.
Yep.
In the year 2030 or something.
It's the same XR7 or 650 from a million years ago.
Yeah, they'll be like the 2031 XR650R. I'm like, okay.
With a brand new carburetor.
Yeah.
But so this is just more news that, the end is nigh.
The end is nigh. Yeah. We are truly living in the end times of motorcycles.
Mm-hmm.
People don't want to admit it because people are buying new bikes and things are happening. It's fun, but this is it, man. Like it's a slow moving catastrophe, basically. Like
the sands are running out of the hourglass.
Absolutely, yeah. And it gave me a chill down my spine just thinking that, but it's true.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll tell our kids of the golden age.
Yeah.
Of bikes. Be like, you used to be able to go to a dealership, buy a 215 horsepower motorcycle. They'd be like, Graham, that's crazy.
But the thing is we missed the golden age. We would argue the golden age was in the mid 2000s.
Yeah. Well, that's just it's like for our predilections and taste. For it was more analog and better. But I mean, right now we're sort of at the apex of motorcycling internal combustion engine development. I think there's really that's it. You know.
Do you think that maybe in a world where ICE is like the last gasp, they would switch more to forced induction? Do you see that?
Oh, one can only hope.
I mean, that would be really cool.
That'd be cool. But again, I think it's a development cost issue.
There's a lot of expense.
It's super expensive to make a factory forced induction bike. The packaging's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know how Kawasaki figured it out, but I don't think anyone else is going to be able to figure it out. And also, I don't know if it would boost MPGs and the emissions by the levels that they need to reduce it by. I don't think it would help that much.
Yeah, I mean these emissions regulations are getting tighter and tighter to the point where they want zero.
Yeah,
you're never going to get an ICE to be zero.
It's by definition not zero. Yeah, and a lot of governments and a lot of places are targeting zero emissions, and it's just
it's sad.
It's super sad, man. Like electric bikes are not the same.
Nope.
They're not the same. But we're not talking about that. But speaking of new bikes.
Here we go.
The
Royal Enfield Shotgun 650 spotted testing on Indian roads.
I'll tell you this. First of all, Sports Defender. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Come on. Sports Defender. Second of all, Royal Enfield is doing some cool stuff with their colorways.
Yes.
And their style.
Yeah.
That Scram 411 and this thing. They know what they're doing, man. They really know what they're doing. So what's going on with this?
So this is officially out in testing now. So it's basically they're taking their lovable 650, like what we got, and they're turning it into even more of a cruiser. Looks like it's got sort of like 4D mids, kind of like a
Yeah.
Sportster.
Almost like a bobber aesthetic a little bit with that seat situation.
They've got what looks like a Springer seat going on here.
Yeah.
The drop mirror over there. Honestly, you know what it looks like? It looks like the Indian Scout bobber.
It does.
Quite a bit.
It does, yeah.
Um,
Well, Spy, it is an Indian Scout bobber.
there you go. It's a neat looking bike, and it looks like it's got big, proper size tires.
Yes, that is important. I hope it's on 17s and not 18s, but it might be on like a 1918 setup, more like a cruiser, really. So, do we have any specs or anything else, or do we just have that concept image?
This is the concept.
Oh, it's a spy
that was
shot.
out,
Okay.
And then we have the spy shots here.
I think Royal Enfield saw how fucking awesome the Meteor 350 was doing. They were like, make a big one.
Yep.
No brainer.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, that's a good engine.
Yeah, it's a reasonable engine. It's a good engine. It's fine. Like it's good. It's not. Here's the thing. Like I think that when you look at a new Bonneville, some of the Sportsters, I would rate it like maybe third or fourth. Like it's totally middle of the road. I think in terms of this like retro market.
So the reason why I like it is because it still has a lot of that old school charm and characteristic because it's air cooled.
Yeah.
You know, you can't get that out of a liquid cooled engine.
Nah, it's not the same.
Excuse me. The liquid cooled engines are too precise. And
Yeah.
they're too, you have the higher compression and they feel modern.
Yeah.
Very little about the Royal Enfield feels modern.
Yeah.
But not in a bad way necessarily. I don't think anyway. It's a solid enough package, and I really like the engine. And to the point where I'd be like, you know what? Let's throw the 11-to-1 compression pistons in there and see what happens. Let's throw the hot cams in there and see what happens.
Depending on how expensive those parts are, I say why not?
Yeah,
it wouldn't be that hard.
It could be really cool.
Yeah.
Especially since 11-to-1, you're not changing the bore. It's the same bore. It's just pistons.
Yeah, the piston's just squeezing the air better.
Yeah,
that's it.
And the hot cam, theoretically, it looks pretty easy to install.
I wonder what tuning would be like.
I'd probably need to go get it dynoed.
Yeah, probably dynoed, probably flashed in some way.
Mm-hmm. But the cool thing is because Royal Enfield is doing these build train race series. The parts that we're looking at are from Speed and Strength, or S&S. I'm not sure if it's Speed and Strength.
Speed and Strength would be wild. Yeah. I don't think it's S&S.
It's S&S. And those are all the performance parts that they use on their race bikes.
Yep.
So it's like you're almost getting factory support for it. It's almost like Royal Enfield could open their own Screamin' Seagull shop. Why not?
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a factory Interceptor 650 that's kind of juiced up Thruxton RS style.
Go for it.
They've got a lot of development from the race guys who've put them together, so build a little like proper speedy cafe bike. Why not?
The question then becomes emissions, which I'm sure they could figure out, but who knows?
Who knows?
I mean, plenty of engines are running 11-to-1 now.
Yeah.
So
like most modern motorcycle engines are running them.
The problem is then heat on this.
Yeah.
At 11-to-1, you are talking about an air-cooled engine that is now running even hotter.
Yeah.
And
fuck, man, I remember the Blade when we looked up the specs. The compression was 13.5 to 1. Remember?
Damn.
It was stupid.
Yeah, so much compression.
Yeah, it was stupid.
What's crazy is the ZH2, still forced induction, still super high compression.
I know. Yeah, that you need some really snazzy tuning to make that work.
Yeah, I think it was like 12 or 13. It was really juiced up.
Yeah, you need some really snazzy stuff to make that work. But it was supercharged, so it's kind of like little different than turboed, but still you're forcing air where it shouldn't be forced with higher compression. It's like early detonation. Oh no,
that would be real bad.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think man, Royal Enfield's doing a lot of good stuff lately, and they're selling a lot of bikes to a lot of people. So you cannot say that they're doing anything bad, really.
The best part is that they're doing what Harley was doing with the Sportster, where it's like, everybody go build your own.
Yeah.
We got you this base, and they did it right because it's dirt fucking cheap.
That's the thing. That's the thing.
It's
That's
so
what I said in
cheap.
my video. I was like, Harley needs to take a page out of this. Somehow sell a bike that costs $6,000.
Yep. Just take the 883 right now, sell it for $6,000. Not
Yeah.
12 like
Not
they
12,
are now.
That's crazy. That's stupid money.
Yeah. You'll get so many people on an 883.
So many
if you
people,
cut the
dude.
price in half.
So many people. It's the volume play, man. It's a volume play. But yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah.
I like the way it looks.
I'd be heck after our time spent with the Interceptor already. I'm game to ride it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, folks, that's going to wrap up the news for this week. We're now going to move on to the DM portion of the podcast. Stick around.
Let's do it.
Alrighty, folks, it's time on the Yamcast to do the DM portion of the podcast. This week, we're talking about upgrading or downgrading your motorcycle. We're going to be chatting about if you're on some big, fancy, hyper-naked bike, maybe you should come down a step. Or maybe if you're on some clapped-out little bike, maybe you should actually go up a step. So Spite and I are going to start this off and give our opinions on the subject. Alrighty, Spite. Upgrade or downgrade, you've chosen to...
Upgrade.
Simp for upgrade.
Yes.
So explain. Why should you upgrade your motorcycle?
Okay, so I see it in a couple of ways. Obviously, you're getting a bigger bike because you've outgrown whatever starter bike you have.
Totally
Sure,
fair.
Totally fair.
More yeet.
Mm-hmm. And I think that there's a lot to be said for keeping that little bike that you have to go back to and have it in the garage. But let's face it, there's a lot of times you get that new bike and then the other one just sort of sits in the garage forever.
Yeah.
You're like, I could ride you, but you're slow and sort of dinky, and you got a lot of miles on the bed. Let's go with the new toy, right?
New toy. Yep.
A lot of that happened with the DRZ when I got the SMCR, where I was just like, why do I own this DRZ anymore?
Oh, for sure.
Because the SMCR was just so much nicer.
It was such a like-for-like upgrade, too.
Yeah.
The riding experience literally was the same, but just better in every way.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot to be said for upgrading when you've outgrown your beginner bike. But I would also say that if you're somebody who's like on a 650 and you want something with just a little bit more juice, you should definitely upgrade, because a lot of times you've gone and got your beginner bike, then you get the 650 as your stepping stone motorcycle. And I think it's fair to assume that, sure, you could stop at a 650.
Yeah.
All day long, you could stop at a 650.
Well, you shouldn't.
I think, you should probably move on to something with a little bit more chutzpah, something that's a little bit more interesting, because they have cooler tech on them, too. We are seeing in the world trickle-down happening a lot more, but there is still tech that's reserved for the big bikes that you can't get on the smaller machines.
Yeah, cruise control, rider modes. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff.
You could also argue that on bikes like the Tuono 660 and the RS 660, for example, I could see somebody being like, sport mode is all you need on there. Sure, you have road mode and you have rain mode, but it's only 100 horsepower, you know?
Yeah.
You don't need all those different modes on there.
Yeah.
So I could see Aprilia cutting all that, cut the price of the bike.
Oh man, I said that since we got that bike, the R660 last year. I was like, they need to make like an SP version and like an R version. The R version is everything you need, nothing you don't.
Yep.
I would love that, but it's not feasible.
Yeah, and so at that point, you could argue that, maybe going from the RS to, maybe like a 600 that's got your traction control, your rider modes that actually matter, stuff like that, so that you could use something more in its element. And that leads me to my next point is, once you start getting into that expert level, that sort of expert tier, you see bikes specialize a lot more. So we have, the super adventure, which is really like adventure touring. Because let's be honest, 150 horsepower off-road is just wheel spin anyway. But you do see a lot more specialization. They're a lot better at the task of, crushing big miles.
Yeah.
Flagship touring bikes, super sports, when they get into the like top tier, they're weapons. So much so that the average human being can't actually use them.
No.
And you do see that a little bit with the hypernakeds too.
Yeah.
They're really specialized at doing what they do, which is like snap on a crap ton of torque now and be really exciting.
And that's actually a point I was going to make about upgrading is I think it's really important that somewhere along your riding journey, you should have a bike, even if it's for 6 months, a year, that scares the out of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Because it will teach you a lot about motorcycling to own a motorcycle that scares the absolute bejesus out of you. Because then you'll ride normal bikes and be like, oh, this is really nice. You know, like this is good. This is nice. I've seen what the dark nadir of Turbo Busas look like. I don't need to go there. I want to be more here, you know?
Yeah.
So just having that experience and upgrading is nice.
Yeah, you get to see a lot more of what motorcycling has to offer.
Yeah.
And honestly, when it comes to super sports in particular, it makes me appreciate what racers do all the more.
Yeah, dude.
Because I've ridden a bunch of leader bikes now. How the hell can y'all do that? That's wild.
Yeah.
Absolutely wild.
Yeah.
So I think upgrading and experiencing these bigger bikes really can just improve your appreciation of motorcycles.
Yeah.
But I would argue that there also is probably a point where you have gone too far. You've lost the plot.
Totally. And that's where I would come in and say it might be time to downgrade your motorcycle. I think there's lots of pros to downgrading your bike. The first thing I think of is, at least for me, a cheap bike's a fun bike, man.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the flagship bikes, you end up babying them and coddling them, and you end up like not wanting to take them out when it's wet, or you don't want to do things with them. Or I see so often on our Discord, they're like, well, I don't want to go to a track day because I might crash my bike. Or I'm like, well, as long as you're okay, what does it matter if you crash your bike or not, you know? You shouldn't be that worried about your bike, which is why I often say that for the second motorcycle, if you're truly trying to get good at riding, a cheapo dual sport is one of the best bang for bucks that you can get. And it's quote-unquote a downgrade, right? Let's say you start on an MT-07 or a Trident 660, and then you go and get some beater KLX 250.
It's going to be slow as
It's going to be slow. It's going to feel like it's going to be wonky. But once you start riding it and you realize, oh, my God, I can just yeet this thing and I don't even care. That kind of freedom is really nice, you know?
Yeah.
I think that freedom is really nice, and I would say even for track bikes too. A lot of guys go out to the track on these $30,000 BMWs, Ducatis, R1s, and bullshit like that, and they don't get good and they don't figure out how to ride it, but all you need is a little $5,000 beater SV650, and then you'll have so much more fun. So downgrading can be a lot of fun if you do it right. Now, I think downgrading like for like doesn't make a lot of sense. If you are on a big bad hyper naked, I think you should downgrade sort of down and to the side in terms of categories. You should get something like a mid-size sport touring bike or a dual sport or something a little different, because I feel like if you're on a big leader bike, if you only know that, you're going to be bored just going straight to the 600. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I also feel like, though, you could make the argument that if you're on that big bad leader bike and you're a street squid, you're going to have more fun street squidding on a 600.
I agree.
So I see one of the biggest points about downgrading like for like is being able to ride the bike more.
Yeah.
You can get
Use
more
of it. Yeah, because a lot of these flagship bikes, especially the super bikes, I mean, first gear ends at 80, 90 miles an hour. That's just boring, you know? Like I was riding my Husky the other day, doing a nice little dual sport ride, going out some trails, doing out some normal stuff and street stuff. And it's fun to go from a stoplight and go through 5 gears, you know? You're just like, whop, 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 whop. Like, it's exciting. It makes it interesting. I think there's lots of benefits to downgrading. I think that your skill set will massively increase when you downgrade because you don't care as much about the bike. And if you already have the experience, you'll start to just disrespect the bike just to see what'll happen. You know, you'll be able to get the rear out a little bit and slide it. You'll be able to try wheelies. You'll be able to do stuff you maybe wouldn't try on a super nice fancy bike. Like our cheapo giveaway bikes, I pretty much try to wheelie all of them. I have certainly not tried to wheelie the Speed Triple 1200 Double R because number one, I have a lot of respect for it, and number two, if anything were to happen to it, I would be very upset. Whereas if I dropped the Royal Enfield, I'd be like, it kind of sucks, but you know.
Yeah,
I like that about it.
You have a lot more freedom. I think that's the thing that you start out with is, and it is so true.
Yeah,
the ability to just free yourself from worry
Yeah.
if something happens. So that's a huge boon for
Yeah.
downgrading.
Mods are cheaper too on the little
Yep.
bikes and the dumb bikes. You don't have to spend as much money doing tires are cheaper for them. So if you are value conscious, getting a downgrade and getting an N+1 mentality going with it can be sweet, right? Like if you're thinking about trading in your 650 to get a 890 or a street triple or whatever, maybe consider adding a cheapo bike to the fleet instead of getting rid of your bike to get a nicer bike. That would be my thing.
Yeah. I mean, just personally, I would not have sent the Pan Am through the puddles that I sent the KLR through. You know? Like,
Yeah.
I would not have done that.
Yeah.
But then again, I wouldn't have attempted 2,000 miles on the KLR with the same gusto that I did on the Pan America. So I can see both sides of the coin.
Definitely. But now let's see what the Discord boys have to say about upgrading or downgrading.
Alrighty, so we are going to start out
Holy
with
moly.
Full Metal Corgi because I need to leave Admiral Snack Bar because he's got a link to the video for his comment.
Okay. Full Metal Corgi says, I need to upgrade the Turbo Busa with panniers and a backrest for hyper touring and dad mode. Eat your heart out, ADV dads. Busa dads are the future. So I guess upgrading your bike in terms of the mods to it or the capability of it. Some bikes can do that and other bikes can't, you know?
I saw a Gen 3 Busa the other day, full-blown Hayabusa man, stock bike
Love it.
with the panniers on it.
Hell
Like
yes.
it had the Suzuki factory
Hell
panniers
yes.
on it. They're huge, dude. They're huge panniers.
Well, it's already a big old bike, you know? One of our buddies came through here for our little bike swap thing we did the other weekend, and he got on the bike on the Turbo Busa, and he said, oh my God, it's a hot tub.
It's huge.
It's big. It's a big bike.
Next up, we've got _fail tail.
I think that's Whale Tail.
Whale tail. There we go.
Whale Tail. Upgrade. I have a Duke 790 that I've had for 2 years and commute 80 miles to the bar area, or maybe Bay Area, every day. 80 miles is a big old commute.
Damn.
The 2-cylinder to 85 mph is a little vibrational. I'm planning on upgrading to an MT-09, so the only one in Cali as of right now is in the Bay Area. Yeah, maybe upgrading in terms of cylinder count for your use case, right?
Yep.
I could see that. And that's really the thing I try to stress to people is when you're thinking about picking up a different bike or a new bike, think about what you're going to do with it. Think about what you currently do with your bike and what that bike's going to do better or worse, because every bike has trade-offs. Every bike has good things and bad things about it. Like I picked up my newest bike to me this year was the Husky 501, and it's just ludicrously miserable to even ride 20 or 30 miles with that thing. But then you get out on the trails and you're like, it's unstoppable, you know? So every bike's going to have a little bit of that. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Every bike specializes at some point.
Yeah.
So you want to be within the leisure domain of your bike.
Yeah.
It's like taking a Sportster off-road. Shade Tree. Don't know how you do it, man.
Nobody knows.
Oh
Wait, we have to tell them it's not real off-road.
yeah.
Everyone's
No,
going to tell me in the comments. Yeah,
You got
it's not real off-road, dude. In my country, that is road. So I don't know what to tell you.
You got to get good, man.
Yeah. Ride Red says upgrade versus downgrade. Current bike an 07 CBR 1000 RR. In terms of horsepower downgrade, for sure. Torque ideally similar or more. Features wanting upgrade. Thinking Africa Twin or Scrambler 1200 when I can afford it. That would be an interesting. I don't even know if that's a downgrade to go to a Scrambler 1200. That's a nice bike.
That is a nice bike. It's.
Yeah.
I guess it's a down. A lot of people look at downgrade as
horsepower.
spec sheet.
Spec sheet.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
So many people are like, you have the best bike because it makes the most power. But
I have the best bike.
Yeah.
I make the most power.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear from you or Josh or Whitney or Derek. My bike makes the most power.
Yeah.
I have the best bike.
That's the argument people make is
It's
because
so dumb.
and it limits your scope of motorcycling.
Totally.
Because
Because power feels different too.
it really does.
Like my Husky's a f***ing animal, but it makes like 48 horsepower.
yeah. And the Busa's like down low, it's sort of a kitten.
Yeah.
Which is f***ing weird to say.
Doesn't do much. Just poodle along. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I personally, if you're asking for our opinion, Ride Red, I'd say that Scrambler 1200 would be sweet.
I would take it over the Africa Twin. To be
I would
honest.
too. Yeah. That's a nice bike.
We got Choco Cow next.
Choco
Cocoa
Cow or
Cow.
Cocoa Cow. Here's my take on upgrade or downgrade topic. I think it's a gray area, and to me it very much depends on what you have experienced previously. For me, I have had bikes all over the spectrum. A 95 VFR, 94 KDX 200, nice. A 2004 Buell XB12, a 2006 Triumph Sprint ST 1050, and a 2011 V-Strom 650. So for me, I would downgrade from the V-Strom and get a dual sport of some kind if I could. If someone has not ridden a larger bike, I would say to upgrade just to know what it is like. But at the end of the day, I would tell people just to chase what kind of bike they want. That's a really important thing too, is to just like, don't overthink and get the bike you want. If you want to try the street squid life, get a leader bike, try it out. You know, maybe you like it for a year and then you want to get something else. Motorcycles kind of come and go, catch and release, you know.
That's one of the things that, like, people keep asking me why I got the KLR
so often.
instead of getting a proper adventure bike. I really wanted a KLR.
The KLR is a proper adventure bike.
Well, they were like, oh, Tenere 700. And I was like, yeah, sure.
Good luck finding one, though.
But I wanted the KLR.
Yeah.
Because it's stupid, it's slow, and I could beat the shit out of it.
Yeah.
And I have. I broke one.
Really?
I actually can't take the wheels off because I lost one of the adjuster caps on my bike. So I need to replace that, but those are on back order, so I'm stuck on the K750s for a while.
That's funny.
Freaking KLR problems, man. Stank Nooner is next.
Stank Nooner as a... hold on. Okay, as a point of reference, I started on a Carb Sportster 883, so I upgraded to a brand new 2022 MT-07. Honestly, that's a big upgrade. It's funny because it's a smaller displacement, but... huge upgrade.
It probably felt like a rocket ship.
For sure. He's probably like, whoa! But it's an MT-07. Says, but I have no experience in a top-line bike. As a simp to the MT-07 and that CP2, everyone just needs an MT-07. Whether that is an upgrade or downgrade is irrelevant. Smiles per gallon, my dudes. Spoken like a true MT-07 owner.
Honestly, anything in that, like, 700-ish cc... You're going to be having a great time.
Yeah.
Whether it's the Thumper from KTM, whether it's the CP2 from Yamaha, whether it's the 660 from Aprilia, you're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Right around 700 cc's. They're light, they're torquey.
Yeah.
Handle really well.
Usually very street focused too.
Very street focused.
They're not super racy. Yeah, I mean I'm like thrilled for us to do the 210 660 later this year.
Can't wait.
Can't wait. Just to ride the 660 again, you know. I'm like, "Oh yeah."
To get an exhaust on there.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Such a great sound.
It's a great bike.
Slow HD is next.
Slow HD says, I think once you upgrade from a beginner bike, it may be a better option to look at a different discipline of riding instead of going to a leader bike and such. Personally, I started on cruisers, and now instead of getting a bigger, badder cruiser, I'm looking at a sport bike or a dual sport or both. At the end of the day, the real question is, how do Rocket 3? And that is in reference to, on our stream, someone just said, how do Rocket 3? And I said, well, does anyone ever thought to ask, why do Rocket 3? I love the cross-discipline aspect of it. Like, if you're a cruiser guy, try a naked bike. If you're a naked bike guy, try a dual sport. If you're an adventure bike guy, you've probably gotten there after trying many bikes because very few people start on adventure bikes, you know?
I feel like of motorcyclists, the adventure bike tends to be the one with the broadest mindset.
For sure. They kind of been there, done that, you know.
That's why it's always like a bunch of old dads because they're like, you know, I did the sport bike thing. That was fun for a while. I had a cruiser, but I wanted something more fun. I enjoyed off-roading on my dual sport, but I don't do trails every day.
Yeah.
And then they just arrive at the adventure bike. I just beat them there by 20 years.
Yeah. Well, it's because you've had like a sort of massively accelerated riding career by working here.
Yep.
You know, that kind of happens when you ride. How many bikes? Do you think it was like 200 plus?
Yeah, we
like that?
rode a crazy amount last year.
Yeah, it's an insane amount, and yeah, you start to pick up a few things. You know.
Mm-hmm. So next up, we got Kagamizen.
Kagamizen, upgrade or downgrade? I am planning on upgrading. Currently still on my first bike, a Rebel 300. It's good for round town and back roads of MD and PA. However, it is not good for long distances when interstate travel may be necessary.
Nope.
Second bike will be a Z900 or Aprilia 660 or Trident 660.
A Trudent.
A Trudent, as he wrote, but I corrected it for him. Yeah, if it's your very first bike, a Rebel 300, upgrade that shit. Like, it's going to be so fun to have more power. And it feels so good when you jump on a real power bike. It feels awesome.
And honestly, I don't want to like throw shade at the Rebel or the like super basic beginner bikes, but you also sometimes you might want to keep it, like if it's an R3 and you want it as a track toy.
Yeah.
But you don't need to keep the Rebel 300.
You don't need to keep up a Rebel 300. Yeah, those are definitely supposed to be passed on to the next of kin and kind of further down the line.
Yeah. GD Sinclair.
GD Sinclair says, I guess I've already done my downgrade, but I started riding July 2020 with my Duke 390, sold it to rent some bikes, considering a second after about 8 months, and also upgrade my gear / take courses. That's a great thing. I ended up getting a track prepped CBR 300R after renting about 25 bikes and riding a bunch of class bikes in 8 formal classes I've taken, 47 total bikes so far. I've ridden almost every style and size of street bike, and learning to max out the CBR on track and upgrading my rider software is the most fun and challenging thing I've done on 2 wheels by far. Learning to ride on dirt too. I think people get way too caught up on displacement / power and how fast they can go in a straight line, but don't ever really figure out how to ride in a more technical way and are in constant quest for more after they could have had way more fun on a smaller bike learning how to have greater control. Your guys' videos definitely helped me become a more patrician rider in my pursuit of riding knowledge, so thank you. Well, that is really great.
There you go.
Props off to you, GD Sinclair. That is definitely the way to go, is really learning the craft and understanding it too. That's the thing I tell people too. They're like, oh, I've got like, $1,000, $2,000. What gear should I get? I'm like, go take a rider course. Go take like a weekend course at Yamaha Champ School or California Superbike School. It's a very good use of your time and money to take a proper course.
Also, those courses are a ton of fun.
They're so much fun. Yeah.
They're
not work or school or anything. They're called a school because you're learning, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like school while you're there.
By the time the day ends, you're kind of like, oh man, like
I really want more.
Yeah, I want more. So,
I still remember my last lap when I was doing it at the Champ School. I knew it was my last lap, and I was just like, one more. I didn't hit that last day, but one more. I want to go around the track one more time.
Yep.
And I'm sure if I asked them, they'd been like, sure, go for it.
Yeah.
But I was like, I have to pit in.
Yep.
Damn it. Squid Ceviche is next.
Squid Ceviche says, this is an interesting topic. Don't know if it will be best for me downgrading from my MT-07 and getting something less expensive on the used market, like a cafe / neo-retro styled bike like the Royal Enfield Continental or Bonnie, for cruising the streets and calm the squid demons beneath me, or go full send / gung-ho mode and go for squid missiles like the Gixxer ST for the track, plus a dirt bike that I can be used for the street, an old CRF or WR. This way I can get introduced to the track and ADV life and learn more skills. Also, that way I can be kind of careless in the event of drop it, or doesn't bother me that much. I must confess I care too much about my bike, but I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Yeah, like we said, don't want to care about the bike too much.
Yeah.
But I've seen this too on the Discord. People are kind of like, well, I don't know where to go type of thing. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I've got this bike and I want to try this or I want to try that. If you do it right, life is long, right? You'll have time to do the sport bike thing, dual sport thing, and
yep.
I mean, I'm at the point now where I kind of have phases. I kind of like, I was out in California. All I did was ride dual sport that whole month that I was there, and I did motocross one time. But other times I'm here in town, and I'm like, I just want to rip up the track as much as possible. So kind of ebbs and flows. What do you think?
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, we have so many bikes coming and going. And right now, between the Z900 and the Royal, and we had the Triumph Bonneville come through, I've kind of gone on this kick of freaking old school bikes are awesome, man.
Yeah.
Like, I really am enjoying this air-cooled spree
Yeah.
that we've got going on. That's really fun. But then I get on a real fast bike, and I'm like, this is, like, I rode the 919 today, and I was just, there are a couple of corners on that road that's behind the shop, and I was just like, I gotta slow down, because I was spinning the 919 up and having a ton of fun. So it comes and goes.
Yeah.
You're never gonna find the perfect one bike.
No.
Gothic Crucible is next.
Gothic Crucible. Hey, Spite, I have an 01 ZX6R at the moment and was looking to upgrade to either a new ZX6R or with the 636 or an XSR 900. Thoughts? He asked you, so you must answer.
It depends, man. That's the truth. Is it depends. Do you want something that's really fun and torquey and silly for the street, or do you want something that's really good on a racetrack?
Yep.
So
think deep. Look in your soul.
Yep. The Lava Melon.
The Lava Melon says, congratulations, Spite. This is Yami Noob. My main Discord account got hacked, so I'm using an old burner account to tell you the good news. You're the winner of our brand new Harley-Davidson Can-Am giveaway motorbike. Now, I know what you're thinking. This looks like a scam, but I assure you it is not. This YouTube video is the giveaway stream and proof that I have your name. In fact, I have drawed. Please send me your credit card info to pay for shipping ASAP so I can send you your prize.
There we go.
Yeah, so that's Lava Melon memeing a little bit because of all the stupid scammers we have popping up on our Discord and on YouTube.
Sad boys.
Use your brain, guys. Use your brain. We cannot protect you from everything. We're trying our best, but damn it, use your brains. Check that user.
Yeah.
Why would I respond to your comment on YouTube being like, give me your credit card info so I can ship you a bike? Come on, guys.
All right. Moving on. YZ Trails.
YZ Trails 89 says, I started with a Yamaha FJR 1300, the downgraded to a YZ 400F, and next I'm looking at a Honda XR 650, but I don't think there's such a thing as downgrading as long as you're on two wheels. All bikes are fun. What an evolved perspective.
There's
all
some truth
bikes
to
are
that.
fun. Yeah. All bikes are good and fun, dude.
Yeah.
I've often said they're like dogs. They're all good boys.
Mm-hmm. And Harvey 17 is next.
And Hardy17 says, upgrading versus downgrading your bike can have a multi-directional answer. You can look at it from horsepower or features point of view. Both perspectives sometimes cross over into an upgrade in one area, but a downgrade in the other, especially if you jump to a different class of bike. For example, if you jump from a KLR 650 to a Keep the Manual Duke 390, you get more power out of the 390, barely, and TC as well. In the end, the question you have to ask yourself is, what am I willing to live without, and what is an absolute must? Yeah, it's important to ask yourself what you're willing to live without, and what you kind of want.
On the KLR, I'm living without a lot.
Yeah, you're living without everything. You're living a very stoic life.
Mm-hmm. Satsui is next.
Satsui. I got a Daytona and a KTM 250 on/off. Perfect setup. Nothing should be changed. Perfect power to fun ratio for both street and dirt. No need for anything more or less. Well, I think that's a pretty unevolved perspective to be like, my setup is perfect. He doesn't even have a Turbo Busa.
No, dude.
You think your Daytona ain't Get a Turbo Busa.
Next up is Jinsha Open Oz Pinhead.
That's Alex, the guy who won our 660. I recognize his face. He says, neither upgrade or downgrade. I have the perfect motorcycle courtesy of Papa Yams. Perfect amount of power, super comfy, plenty of tech. Thank you for my forever bike, the RS 660. I love that he's still on there. That's so much fun. Guys, for all of y'all on stream or watching the Yamcast, this is the dude that won our RS660 last year, and that was my second favorite motorcycle of the year. And I love that thing, and I'm glad you're loving it too. It's an awesome motorcycle. And please don't wad it up like the R1.
Oof.
I had to bring that up really quick. We got a video in the other day that appears to be our giveaway R1, and the title is the giveaway R1, and the guy freaking bent it on a little twisty road ride. Oh, it made me so sad seeing it just go into the guardrail and flip. I was like, no, it's total. It's total. Oh, no. Yeah. I hope he's okay. I hope you're okay, Noel. I didn't hear back from your email, which makes me a little concerned, but I hope you're okay.
That was a real bummer to watch.
Yeah, that was.
The Dr. Zero is next.
Dr. Zero, continuously upgrade until you've gone too far, then take 2 steps back. That's what you were talking about.
Pretty much, yeah.
You basically go, and then you're like, whoa, I need to go back. I went too far.
Yep.
Some people keep going. They just keep going, and then they end up Turbo Busa people.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, 270 wheel horsepower isn't enough. I need 400 wheel horsepower.
Time to go for the 54 turbo.
Yeah.
Next up is Jakers.
Jakers says, I recently upgraded from an 09 GS 500 to an 09 FZ6, and I am definitely all for upgrades. I think upgrades are great for experiencing newer tech and better machines. One day I'd like to have a flagship bike just to feel a bike that wasn't cheaped out somewhere in its conception. That is the cool part about the flagship bikes, man. They're like, when you ride like a top-level Ducati or top-level Triumph, you're like, they thought about everything.
Except on the Triumph with that screen.
What? Yeah, the screen is a bummer on the Speed Triple, but otherwise that bike's perfect.
Yeah, it's real good.
It's so good.
They just needed the BMW dash, man.
If that bike had the BMW dash, that's it, game over. 10 out of 10 bike for me.
Yeah.
Literally perfect. I think we got time for one more question.
Let's do one from Metalhead89.
Metalhead89 says, I'm considering selling my 2008 Gixxer 600 and getting a 2022 Gixxer 750 or a 2023 ZX6R. Does ZX6R seem like this more fun, but also the same problems with not much slowdown to work or power below 7,000? And 750 seems like more grunt from down low, but maybe too much power up high. Possibility of wheeling it by accident. Not a master of punctuation is Metalhead89. That was a little hard to read. But those feel like very lateral moves to me. You're not going to feel that much of a difference going from an 08 Gixxer 600 to a 2023 ZX6R, honestly.
You get a little bit more down low out of the 600, but or the
It's
ZX6.
going to be like a 5 to 7% kind of difference in feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get a leader bike. If like what you're trying to do is like go fast, just get a leader bike. You can put them in lower power modes. You're already on a 600. They won't wheelie by accident because they have wheelie control, so you'll be good.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Go straight for that Turbo Busa. Just stretched out. It won't wheelie.
Yeah. Or just get like an RSV4 or a Gixxer Thou because new leader bikes are crazy fast.
They're so fast. Oh my God.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up this section of the upgrade or downgrade question. If you liked what you saw, make sure you watch all of the Yamcast and enjoy, or if you're watching this right now on the Yamcast, enjoy it as well. Now we're going to move on to the final portion of the podcast. It's the comment sections.
Looking forward to this
This one's going to be good. Alrighty, folks, welcome to the final segment of the Yamcast. We are going to be looking at the most ridiculous YouTube comments that we have gotten. Now, we've asked the Discord boys to source some silly comments that people have left, and we're going to be ranking them on one category of just ridiculousness. So the more ridiculous the comment is, we will rank it higher. And the winner for this week is going to get a free t-shirt. How fun is that? So if you want to join up and get the chance to win a free t-shirt or watch these live with us and hang out on the Discord, join over on yammynoob.co, become a member for as little as $5 a month, get access to all the content, entry to win all the bikes and all that good stuff, and then you can send us some fun memes and comments. So let's get into it.
Let's dive in. So we're starting out today with, let me make sure I'm sharing the screen, with Admiral Snack Bar with this here, which is referring to a video from many moons ago.
All right, Admiral Snackbar says, my wife walked in on me at 8:40, and so we now have to go and look at the video to see what happened at 8:40 on this video.
So
this video is from September 17th, 2021.
Otherwise known as 10,000 years ago.
Yeah. So what happened at 8:40?
Work for you of matching the engine speed, you can do it by blipping the throttle. Simply pull on the clutch, click down a gear, and then with that clutch still pulled in, pop a rev and release the clutch while the engine speed is spun up to match the wheel speed. It takes some practice.
It's at 8:40, so you got to keep going a little bit more. Yep. You're almost there. Just press play. You'll be good.
Right. And with the rise of auto-blipping quick shifter, it's a skill that fewer and fewer people are learning, but it's an important one to have if you're getting an older bike or you just want to look cool. Everyone knows that revving your motorcycle is the easiest way to have ladies' undergarments thrown at you. And in case you're wondering...
All right, that'll work. Yep.
That will work, yeah. If your wife walks in at that exact moment, it's a bit hard to explain.
I'm not sure it's particularly ridiculous.
It's not that ridiculous, though. I think I'm rated like a 3.
Yeah, that was a 3 out of 10 on the ridiculousness.
Pretty tame little comment there, not going to lie.
Next up, we got Alan Robertson with... Where is it? There it is.
Alan Robertson says, Step 4, ghost ride the 600 into a block wall, then go buy a 1000 or bigger. Nothing like getting your ass spanked by a blonde in a red Corvette while riding your 600. This is like typical 600 street squid bro talk.
Yeah, yes.
He's just like, everything's in lowercase, the punctuation's crazy, and he's just like, I gotta get bigger, but I go faster. I gotta do some car when it's faster than me. I gotta go fast. You know?
I don't know what Corvette is gonna spank a 600.
I don't know either. Yeah.
Like maybe the new one.
Maybe a new one that's like juiced up or something, but 600s are pretty damn fast.
Yeah. So,
and they all do 186 miles per hour.
Dude, yeah,
which is really incredible. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So,
definitely some smooth brain squid energy here.
Definitely.
How do we feel about ridiculousness, though?
It's pretty ridiculous. I think I'm gonna rate it a 5.5.
A 5.5.
Yeah.
Now we got Ottoman with
Ottoman. I mean, you like Busas post 2001, so it's not like you had taste before.
So is he arguing that the Busa is only likable in the year 2000?
I think that's what he's saying. Yeah. So like you're only allowed to like Busas if it's like 1999 or 2000.
Because I could also see a world where he's like, you have a like a fuel injected Hayabusa. What's wrong with you?
Oh,
because the 99, I think you could get them carbureted.
No, I think he's saying like like if you like a Busa and it's past the year 2000, you don't have any taste.
Which, the logic is so flawed.
It's very flawed. Busa's a classic. I think there's like a curve of understanding of the Busa. You could be on this end, like on the beginning of it, where you could be like, oh, like, I just got into motorcycles. Hayabusas are cool. And then time goes by and it's like, yeah, Hayabusas are lame because like they're so ugly and blah, blah, blah. And then you spend more time and it's like, actually, Hayabusas are really cool.
Yeah.
Like it comes back around.
There's so much just like history.
Yeah,
and
man.
They're so cool.
They have their own subculture. Come on.
So, ridiculousness here for Ottoman.
Pretty low. I think a 4.
A 4.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Bobo with that one.
Bobo says, Papa Yam is finally going to pay child support. I can afford my R1 now. Thanks for not busting my smooth nuts. I must have said this was 3 years ago.
Holy cow.
I must have said that I was going to pay some child support or something. But this guy can now afford his R1, which is pretty good.
I guess he's implying that he is your kid.
Yeah, I think so.
Or you're like...
I used to lean in more into the papa-child rhetoric many years ago. We've stopped doing that as much, which we should bring that back maybe. People love that stuff.
they
Absent fathers and all that.
It's a sad indictment on the way of life. All right, so ridiculous.
Just like, look at me. I'm your dad now. I'm your dad. Look at me.
Okay, that's moving on.
I don't look at you and say. I look at the camera.
I just to feel the energy, the drive-by energy.
Yeah, I understand. But Whitney's gonna have to edit that, and me looking at the camera and telling her I'm her dad, which I'm like 2 or 3 years younger than her. So, anyways,
for Bobo, ridiculousness here.
I think a 3.5.
3.5. It's
not as ridiculous. I'm looking for like the true. I've got one that I put up on the meme channel that I'll read at the end of this as an honorary mention. There's some other stuff too.
There are some in the Yamcast channel which I think we need to go check out when we're done with this, because I saw some in the Yamcast that were like, we got to talk about it.
Yeah, just outrageous.
So next up we got Gothic Crucible here with.
Gothic Crucible says, not gonna lie, when Spite first showed his big hairy face on YN videos, I wasn't a fan. He's kind of growing on me. I feel like he's coming on to you a little bit. He's like, I didn't like what I saw, but now I kind of like what I'm seeing.
I wonder if his just standards have slipped.
Maybe, yeah.
He's just like, you know what?
Yeah, he's got dick blindness,
Although we did finally see some empirical proof that my face in a thumbnail
is
not death for a video.
That's right.
Like I thought it was.
Today's video with you and the Royal Enfield did 1 of 10.
Yep.
Number 1 for the week. Pretty good.
Not a very ridiculous comment, though, guys. I think you missed the mark
ridiculous. We're going to have to delve into the Yamcast here because you got some truly ridiculous things we're going to talk about.
So for this one, I'm feeling like a 1 or a 2 or something.
I think a 2. Not that ridiculous.
Stank Nooner is next. Hopefully he understood the homework assignment.
Stank Nooner, this comment here says, millennials targeted retro wannabe poser nerds and some old guys rode back then. Old guys cheap and millennials got no money first bike. Hello. Boy, is they pulling one over on you yahoos. Hello. Man.
There's a lot to unpack here.
There is. Sometimes, does it ever feel like when you're looking at a YouTube comment, you're like looking through at some like ancient text, and you're like, what does it mean? What do they mean by this? Like cave paintings.
Could you just imagine somebody sitting at their computer and they're just like chicken pecking the keyboard, typing it out?
Because you gotta be on a desktop chicken pecking to write something like this, right? Like, there's no way you understand how to use a mobile device if you're typing this. Just like do. millennials targeted retro wannabe poser nerds, and some old guys rode back then. Old guys cheap, and millennials got no money. They're pulling one over on you yahoos. So he's saying that the new Neo Retro bikes are for like poser nerds, but the old guys rode them back then. The old guys were cheap due to the economy, and millennials got no money first. But this is really hard to interpret.
Here's what I think is going on here. This is some like smooth brain 600 boy.
Yeah.
Who's like he's trying to laugh at people who had to. He started on a 600.
Of course he did.
He does 186 miles an hour.
He bought one off of Facebook Marketplace and put it together and taught himself how to ride, like that one guy.
Absolutely,
because he's a Chad.
And what he's saying here is stupid. So he's probably in his mid 30s, doesn't understand that he is in fact a millennial.
Yes,
and that millennials are him and not. He's talking about like Gen Z.
Yeah.
And so
God, that infuriates me when someone sees like an 18-year-old kid like, look at this millennial. I'm like, dude, millennials are like 38 years old now.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
So he doesn't understand who the millennials are, and he's like, only old guys and broke as millennials are buying Neo Retro bikes.
Yes.
That's how I interpret this.
Yeah. I think you're right.
But the fact that we needed to bust out the like tomes
the
of
Rosetta
knowledge.
Stone of YouTube comments.
I like this one.
Yeah.
And it is for just another Chris, so maybe they're out of order in my sheet. I'm going to go ahead and insert this here.
Yeah, maybe you missed one.
So what do we want to rate this one in terms of ridiculous? This is getting higher.
Pretty ridiculous. I think a 5. Yeah.
Do we want to go... I'm feeling like just the lack of...
Coherent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
Let's
like,
give it a 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Hopefully, Stank Nooner is actually next. If I can find the right button. There it is.
Stank Nooner. You don't want to eat Yamster. He's too scrawny. Too much work for so little meat. Spite. That's the one. More meat and plenty of fat to render out for oil changes on the Enfield. That's pretty good. That's from our Royal Enfield reveal video where you were about to eat me up for the apocalypse.
I really like the way that video turned out.
That was really funny.
Fun.
Yeah. He is right, though. You wouldn't want to eat me. I don't got much meat on the bones.
Nope. Ridiculousness, though.
It's more of like a humorous comment, a good funny comment. I like it, but not that we're looking for like the truly insane, unhinged, ridiculous comments.
Yeah.
So I think I'd rate it like a 3.
A 3.
Yeah.
Wicked Beard is next.
Wicked Beard. Says, from my Yamaha R7 sounds ridiculous now, race exhaust. Some guy says, sounds like loud scooter.
Wrong.
Man, wrong, dude. That bike, like, you'd turn it on and put hair on your chest because it was so thumpingly loud.
It was obnoxiously loud.
Yeah, it did not sound like a scooter at all.
No. Freaking smooth.
But the R7, dude, whenever we had that bike, the thing I saw all the time were people who didn't even ride motorcycles be like, it doesn't have the screaming inline 4 soundtrack. It can't possibly be a sport bike. It sounds awful. And I'm like, y'all are dumb as
honestly, just that bike was fun. It's just
it was great.
Fun.
It's a good, fun bike, yeah.
And you really got to be a smooth brain to be like, it's not good enough.
Got a 600. My R6 sounds better. It's like, okay, you don't even own an R6.
So for Wicked Beard here,
sounds like loud scooter.
That is pretty ridiculous.
It's pretty ridiculous in its succinctness and context. I'm gonna give it a 4.5.
Yeah. Next up, we've got Full Metal Corgi, and then we're diving into the Discord boys, see what they have on offer, because I too have seen some wild stuff.
Full Metal Corgi here says, this video bothers me some, probably because I'm a mechanic first, meaning I have mechanical sympathy for machines, and second, because it's hard to watch you destroy a machine that does what it was meant to do, however uninspiring that may be. If you hated the bike so much, you could have given it away to someone who wanted it. Your brutality towards it shows that that little bike was absurd. I presume on your way home, you kicked a puppy, smacked someone else's kid, and pulled out a few stop signs. And then someone else said, furries aren't real people. This has to be from when we blew up the Gixxer.
Yeah, has to be.
And why the do you care? I own the bike. I can do whatever I want with it. Who gives a
It was just a fun piece of content.
Yeah. Who cares? I had the money. I wanted to blow it up. It's my bike. I do whatever I want. Yeah, I think people
People got real butthurt in that video.
They got butthurt that we blew it up. Yeah.
But it's like, maybe they're like, oh, you should have given it away. Like, to me.
Yeah.
Given it to me.
Yeah, I should have just received a bike for nothing without even entering for anything or doing anything. It's like, come on, man.
Guys, you did not want
No.
that Gixxer 250.
No, so many people are like, I could have fixed it. I'm like, you sound like a toxic girlfriend who's trying to like fix some like, problematic dude or something. That bike was unfixable.
It was unfixable.
We destroyed it. Like it was.
We ruined it.
We ruined it. Yeah. Yeah.
Like we have folks who actually like know stuff about motorcycles who saw it, and they just were like they were reviled by it. So yeah, unfixable hunk of garbage. You did not want it, whoever you are who wrote this comment.
Yes.
So for Full Metal Corgi, in terms of ridiculousness,
it's pretty ridiculous. I think I'm gonna rate it a 4.
a 4.
Yeah.
But now we need to delve into to Discord, because that's where the real juice seems to be.
Yes. Yes.
So let's go into the Yamcast channel here and see if we can find some good stuff.
We'll scroll up a little bit and find some good gems. So this person says,
as well.
Hi, Yami Noob guys. I watch almost all of your videos. However, I live in Thailand. So therefore, there is absolutely no point in giving you any of my hard-earned cash to join your Discord to receive the discount at the store, simply because you have no international shipping and no entry to your free bike giveaways. Simply because I am not an American. Even the Chinese can embrace world shipping, but no, not you guys. Anyways, great videos as always. I think people, it's so funny. Like, here's the thing. Somehow, like, we are, to some people, like Joe Schmoes who have full-time jobs, and this isn't like what we do for a living. But then other people think that we have like all of the resources in the world to do whatever is possible.
Yeah, we could just get a bike on a boat to Thailand.
Yeah, to Thailand. This is a small business, and I emphasize small. I cannot afford to send a motorcycle to Thailand. That's crazy. Yeah.
We would have to move so, like, heaven and earth to get a bike across the ocean.
That would be insane. It'd have to be, like, some super rare bike that needs to go to Thailand for some reason. You know? Not just, like, a Gixxer 250. Interesting.
That is pretty ridiculous there.
Yeah.
But do you think it outweighs his previous entry that we saw?
I don't think so. I think his other one was pretty good. I have one that I wanted to read here. It is from Infernal Saxon. Says, the DRZ 400 is way better than your Husky. The Husky needs oil changes like twice a month and valves adjusted 3 times a year if you really ride. It is a dirt bike that can go on the street to get you to the trail. The DRZ is nuke-proof and has maintenance intervals of 4,000 miles. My friend has a 2004 with more hours than my kids have been alive on it that still runs like a top and has never been out of spec for valves. And then I actually replied on that, and I said, Copium Maximus. Because that is just objectively a crazy thing to say. You had a DRZ 400.
Yeah, no, it is not nuke-proof.
It's not nuke-proof, and also just the fact that, like, just because it requires less maintenance means that it's better?
No.
No chance. DRZ weighs like 320 pounds, man. I'm sorry.
Do we want to write Infernal Saxon in there, because this is a good
That's
thing.
pretty.
It didn't make the entries.
It didn't make the entries. We'll give him an honorable mention, I think.
All right.
I actually had one that I wanted to read that I posted on the meme channel because it was so silly. It actually was on one of our Royal Enfield videos, which again, guys, if you want to see ridiculous comments, you got to go to the Royal Enfield videos. So there's actually 2. There's one that I posted that I said, you can't make this up. And I'm going to leave the guy's name here because it's public on YouTube. He says, Shrish Singh says, your review doesn't matter much whether you liked it or not, you hated it. Royal Enfield bikes are best because they are best. Irrefutable logic there. They're best because they're the best.
Yeah. No.
Tautologies, of course. And only owners know why this bike is special for them. Royal Enfield bikes are emotions.
They are emotions.
They are emotions. I think if he was in like a literary class, he'd be like, that's a metaphor. He's like, no, they are literally emotions. It doesn't matter. You like super high speed rocket Honda bikes or other bullshit craps. I like that he said bullshit craps because it's like he said the bad word and then he said the word that people normally use instead of it's like, okay, well, if you're just going to curse, just commit to the bit. While other bikes are just bikes, but Royal Enfield motorcycles are emotions. Rider ride with emotions, not with bike.
That sounds like something Yoda would say.
It does, yeah. Rider ride with emotions, not with bike. That is pretty silly. But I've seen this variant of this comment a lot on the Royal Enfield stuff where people are like, it's emotional, you don't get it. It must be some marketing campaign that they do in India about how emotional the bike is. It has to be, because I've seen it parroted so many times.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing you hear from Harley riders at that point.
Yeah, totally. And Full Metal Corgi actually replied to this on there, and he said, the only emotion I feel on a Royal Enfield is meh.
Savage.
Absolute savagery.
With doing my part.
Yeah. So lots of ridiculous comments out there today, but who was our winner?
Our winner of the official entries today goes to...
It says Alan Robertson. Oh, no, just another Chris. With that
6
unhinged comment about the millennials and the poser bikes. That was pretty ridiculous.
Yep, that was what we were looking for, guys.
Yeah, we were looking for like just off the wall unhinged comments, because there's a lot of them. I think one of my favorite ones was the guy, I don't remember the full context of it, but I just remember him saying, you know what? I own a minivan. And then he went on this diatribe about the minivan.
Amazing.
That was like, oh my God.
He had like 2 minivans and a Versus 650 or something.
Yeah, just like absolute ultimate nerd. He's like, when my friends want to go out, you know what they ask for? They ask for me in my minivan. I'm like, because you can fit everybody in it, not because they want to be in it. Duh.
You know what? I think a similar diatribe, but for a different thing. Maybe we should read it on the next Yamcast. Is the guy's email with the Busas.
I really think we should read it.
I think we need to read the Busa email on the Yamcast.
I think we need to read the Busa email.
That is like an artifact now.
It is. Yeah, and that guy's reached out to us, and we got him a free t-shirt and stuff, and he's all happy. I think it would be great to read it, just to be like, this guy's story is insane, you know? Like, he's been through 4 Hayabusas, but that's a story for another time, because we're actually out of time now. But thank you guys so much for tuning into the Yamcast. Remember, join over on Yammy.co. It's a lot of fun. Join the Discord, entries for all the motorcycles. And remember, hit subscribe and hit notification bells as well. We'll catch you on the next one. See you later.